the corner trio, the best corner trios in the NFC West. Vish, do you have the depth charts, or do you want me to break it down?
Yeah, I can pull it up real quick. So in Arizona, they have Malcolm Butler, Robert Alford, and Byron Murphy. I mean, Arizona's got quite the team for 2015, don't they, huh?
They would be.
They have a lot of 2015
incredible
Pro Bowlers and All-Pro players. Seattle has a guy who believes he's the best corner in the NFL, and Ahkello Witherspoon, a former 49er, and DJ Reed and Trey Flowers. I would say those are their that's kind of their trio. In LA, I think it's going to be Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams for sure. I think this is the year David Long steps up. He was a third-round pick for them a couple years back. I thought he would be the guy instead of Darius Williams this year. I think he steps up and is their guy this year. For the Niners, obviously, it's very, very set in stone. This was the easy one for them. It's Jason Verrett, Emmanuel Mosley, K'Wan Williams. And, yeah, those are the four kind of trios. Grant, I'm going to send it over to you. Who has the fourth best corner trio in the NFC West?
Okay. I think we're going to who knows? Doesn't matter. I'm going number 4. It's a tough one. I'm going to go with Arizona. Okay, let me tell you what I think of Arizona's trio right here. Malcolm Butler, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch him much in Tennessee. He was in New England. He's not fast. He kind of have to play specific coverages with him. Robert Alford, again, like this guy was good 6 years ago. And Byron Murphy, I know he went to Washington. I feel like the Niners roast him every time. Every time I see him, he's getting roasted by the Niners. So I'm not really – I feel like this is a defense that's really depending on their front 7 and hoping that some of these guys can, like, turn back the clock. So I'm going to say Arizona at 4.
Blake, let's switch it up. Why don't you go next?
Yeah.
Good idea.
So I had the Seahawks actually at 3rd.
Oh, okay. At 4.
So Ahkello, DJ Reed, Flowers.
Yeah.
So they
Flowers
didn't
sucks.
pay Griffin, which was kind of big news for them because he was, their number 1 there for a few years, and he got paid like $14 million to go to the Jags, which I guess I was shocked at how much he made there.
He's not that good.
I did not. Well, especially William Jackson got what, like a 10, 11 million, and I think William Jackson is just as good, if not better, probably better to be honest.
Better.
So I guess that was surprising, and maybe this will come back and be one of those Jag signings that we look back in 4 years and be like,
Trent Baalke,
why did we ever do this? But yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks. Now they do have someone who could be the best corner in the league if healthy.
True. He is the best corner.
Some would argue he's never been healthy before then, if that is the case. I'm just not the biggest fan of the Seahawks corners. I feel like ever since they lost Sherman, Byron Maxwell, their secondary just hasn't been all that great corners-wise. And I'm just not the biggest fan of their corners, I guess. I would have more faith in who the Cardinals have than who the Seahawks have. But again, I'm not the expert on, I'd say, anyone here in particular, but I'm just not the biggest fan of the Seahawks cornerbacks. And that's the bottom line. But Vish, who do you got?
So this was actually one of the harder debates for me in my head because I think the NFC West has a clear distinction of 1, 2, and then I think 3 and 4 are amongst the worst in the NFL in terms of personnel. I agree with you that you can believe more in Arizona's starters than you can in Seattle's because they're all wild cards.
Yeah.
But I went with Arizona at 4, and it's because of one reason and one reason only. We made fun of him earlier, but I think Ahkello Witherspoon actually has serious potential. I think he could make a difference to make Seattle comfortably 3. I don't think Malcolm Butler has anything or if anything left in the tank, and I frankly didn't think he was very good even his last year in New England. I was shocked he got that much money from Tennessee. Byron Murphy is a competitive player, not a great player. Robert Alford, same thing. Competitive player, not a great player. I mean, I think I'm going to pick at Seattle, obviously, at 3. There's a lot of problems with Trey Flowers, and DJ Reed is a tough competitor, but he is not a great player either. But because of Ahkello Witherspoon's potential and because he's so athletically and physically gifted, I'm going to go with Arizona at 4.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So 2 of us picked Arizona. You picked Seattle. Number 3, I'm going with Seattle. And you just laid it out, Vish, what they have going for him with Akello. You know, the thing about Akello, he's tough, man. He really did play well against DK Metcalf week 17. He really did. So I don't know. I mean, Seattle was impressed, right? They clearly saw. They brought him in, and now he's going to be going from working with whoever the Niners DB coach is to Pete Carroll. So good for you, Akello. I mean, he really could improve. Just look at how DJ Reed improved. I mean, DJ Reed was just chilling on the Niners. They didn't really know what to do with him. He goes to the Seahawks, and he only played 10 games last year. I mean, he wasn't like a super playmaker, but I just ran his numbers. His quarterback rating allowed last year, 66. So, I mean, as another young guy with potential, and he's had a good year. He just had a good year.
Feisty competitor.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 guys. I like DJ Reed. So, yeah, number 3, but with young talent that's improving and a good coach.
So I guess I'm back on. I had 3. I had the Cardinals. I guess I believe in Malcolm Butler a little more than you guys. Now I know definitely he hasn't been he wasn't that great in Tennessee, but I still think he improved. His first year wasn't he horribly bad? I believe his first year he was like terribly bad. Like over 100 passer rating allowed, if I'm remembering this correctly.
I think he was even worse. I think he was okay his rookie year, and then he was the starter his second year opposite Richard Sherman, and people just targeted him mercilessly. He was pretty bad. That's why I remember it. That he was terrible his second year because he was the Richard Sherman effect.
He's talking about Malcolm Butler.
Oh, my bad. I thought we were talking about Akello. We can just edit this part out. Sorry, everyone. It's been a long day. Sorry about that, guys.
But yeah, you're right. You're right. Blake, you're right. He did allow 101 passer rating his first year in Tennessee.
Yeah, so I think that improvement's there. And then also last year, like, okay, maybe he didn't do the best, but like, look at their pass rush. They got no pressure whatsoever. I mean, this man had to sit on an island for like 6 seconds. That's a tough cover. And then Murphy, I guess Murphy has potential, and I don't know. They did draft Tay Gowan. I forget what round exactly, but he could maybe be something if Robert Alford can't turn back the clock to 2015, but we'll see. I guess I just trust the Cardinals a little more, and they have maybe more experience to figure it out. And definitely the Seahawks do have way better coaching for the corners. I think that does need to be mentioned, that if the Seahawks players do have the talent, like there's a better chance of them actually realizing it, because I feel like the Seahawks always find a way to produce cornerbacks that who may not be the best, but don't get completely torched like other teams would. But yeah, that's why I have it 3. And Vish, you have the Seahawks.
Yeah, I have the Seahawks at 3. I'm just going to keep it brief because I think you guys hit all the points when you were talking about Seattle. I'm just kind of more bullish on Seattle's potential when you compare them to Arizona. Now, do I think Akello Witherspoon was playing like the best cornerback in the NFL at times when he was healthy? No. Yeah. But I do think he played like a legitimate upper echelon starter in the NFL. I really do. When you look at the first 3 weeks of 2019 and how he finished last year, yeah, he did play like a high-end starter. He really did. He's got elite physical traits. I don't think people realize how special Akello Witherspoon is physically. 6'2", 200-pound people aren't supposed to be that fluid. So I think Akello Witherspoon has real potential to be a really, really good starting corner in the NFL. I still think he does. He still is young. DJ Reed's a feisty competitor. I don't know how much potential he has, but he's going to get every bit out of his potential because he competes. Trey Flowers just isn't very good at football as a cornerback. You know, he's a solid third option, but he's not the best player. I saw what Grant mouthed there. But overall, I just got to say that I think Seattle is definitively the third best corner trio in the NFC West. I think there's a giant gap between them and the other 2 teams. But I do think Seattle has an opportunity to have at least a serviceable corner trio. Arizona, I'm worried. I am worried if their front 4, which we all call the best in the division, if one of those guys gets hurt, Arizona is going to be getting torched.
Yeah. Okay.
Number two.
Okay. I'm going to put the Niners number 2. I like the Niners corners. Jason Verrett he was just fantastic. One of the better stories in the league last year. No reason to think that his body's going to break down again. I mean, I don't want to put that out in the universe. So good for Jason Verrett. He's a hell of a player. He's the number 1 corner in the league, a top 10 corner, plays like a top 5 guy at times. And then on the other side, Mosley solid. K'Wan Williams, he's good too. I mean, he's good at what he does. He's a playmaker. He forces fumbles. He's not really good in man-to-man coverage, but the Niners don't ask him to do that. And when they do need someone in man-to-man coverage, they put Jimmy Ward down there, which does not factor into this discussion. So you have a limited nickelback who's good in the way they use him, a solid number 2, hell of a number 1. Only way that, it's too bad they don't still have DJ Reed. Honestly, their starters should be DJ Reed and Jason Verrett, and getting rid of DJ Reed in the offseason when they still had like 80 spots that they could have made for this guy is going to go. They're going to look back at that and be like, bad decision. Still number 2 cornerback trio in the NFC West, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm same with you, Grant, but I may be more bearish on them than you. I am concerned about Jason Verrett's health still. We've only seen him do it twice where he puts together a full season. And, if he does get injured for, say, 10 games or 12 games, I do get worried about what the Niners will actually have back there. And especially with their safety tandem also being kind of injury prone, you don't want to wish that on anyone, obviously, but it's a fact that they have suffered injuries in the past and it kind of happens frequently. And that's, I guess, concerning for me. And Mosley is solid and K'Wan Williams is solid, but would they be good enough to step in to that 1-2 role? That's where I have my questions. But knowing that they're healthy and basing it off of that, I think the 49ers are firmly in at the number 2 role. Because as you mentioned, Jason Verrett, when he's healthy, is a beast. Like a number 1 cornerback, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's a really, really good player. And these other 2 guys are complementary enough to where they're not liabilities in my mind. So I like them at number 2. I'm sure Vish has the same.
Like with Verrett, I'm not sure that any of the Niners wide receivers can beat him consistently. He's that good. Sorry, Vish, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. And K'Wan Williams, while he isn't like this lockdown, he's not Bryce Callahan in the slot or 2011 Carlos Rogers. He's a good slot cornerback. Yeah. He's a great tackler. He finds ways to force fumbles. He's a heck of a competitor. He's good in zone coverage. There's a lot of things he does really well. Grant just mentioned he's a good blitzer. And so when you're going good trio, just whole trio, the Niners do have a good starting trio. Mosley has shown he's a solid starter, especially for their scheme and what they ask him to do. Verrett, we talked about it, top 10 corner in the NFL. K'Wan Williams, I think a legitimate top 10 nickel corner in the NFL. When people say best nickel, I think that goes a little bit far. But top 10 nickel, 100%. He is definitely, I think the Niners have a really good top 3. And this is where, not including depth kind of goes into the Niners' advantage because the Niners don't have the greatest cornerback depth. I mean, we can be bullish on both Ambry Thomas and Diamador Lamore, but it's tough to expect a lot out of a 3rd-round rookie corner and a 5th-round rookie corner. So the reality of the situation is that there is a little bit of a question mark outside of these top 3. But we're just looking at the top 3, and these 3 are all good football players, with Verrett being, in my opinion, possibly a great football player. So I'm definitely – I think they're firmly entrenched at the number 2 spot, and I think they're actually a little closer to the Rams than I originally thought, just because I think the Rams do have a couple of question marks, but I don't think it's that. I still think the Rams are firmly number 1, which without further ado, Grant, why are the Rams the number 1 corner trio in the NFC West?
It's a very complicated answer. It's going to take me 10 minutes to explain this. No, Jalen Ramsey. They have Jalen Ramsey. And here's the thing about Jalen Ramsey. He can shut down any wide receiver he faces. So when the Niners face him and Brandon Ayuk's having a great season and he's just gone off for like 200 yards in back-to-back games, boom. Now you got Jalen Ramsey in your face all game. And he shuts down DK Metcalf. Like, he could shut down Brandon Ayuk. He could shut down whoever he wants. So that's a good place to start. And then this guy, Darius Williams, had a great season last year. It seems like since Jalen Ramsey can basically Deion Sanders people and shut people out without any help, then everyone else gets more help and improves the rest of the defense. Yeah. Jalen Ramsey is a game changer. What a trade for them. Great move. Well, Jacksonville, what were you thinking? How did you alienate this guy? What? That was crazy, man. I don't know what happened over there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really need to go say much besides Jalen Ramsey is debatably the best corner in the league. At worst, you have him like number 2 or 3. But yeah, Jalen Ramsey's a difference breaker. And I think Darius Williams is really not talked about enough. I think he kind of put himself on the map when he had that pick 6 on Russell Wilson, or people are like, wait, who's this other guy across from Jalen Ramsey? And that's when you find out it's Darius Williams, and he can also play incredibly well too. So when you have these 2 guys as your top 2 corners, I mean, you're just not worried too much about whatever receiver duo you face. And I don't think there's many teams that could go up against, say, the Seahawks and be like not concerned whatsoever about DK Metcalf and Lockett, just due to the fact that their corners match up with them well. And Jalen can shut down pretty much anyone. I mean, yeah, they're incredible, but yeah, no need to really beat the dead horse. I'm sure Vish has the same exact reasoning.
Real quick, Darius Williams reminds me of young Tremaine Brock. Just real quick, throwing that out there. Good play.
That's actually a good comparison. And Brock was a really good starter.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Brock was
and
good. Brock
he played for Fangio. Staley is a Fangio disciple.
That's actually a really great comp. And Brock for the 49ers, him and Parrish Cox were actually an underratedly pretty good cornerback tandem in 14. It was surprising how good they were.
Vic Fangio could get is the best, man.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the Rams, the reason they're 1 is pretty simple. They have the second best defensive player in football, and that's Jalen Ramsey. I don't think people kind of stomach how good Jalen Ramsey is. There's nothing he can't do.
So you're saying they have the 2 best defensive players in the league? The Rams.
I really believe that. Yes,
that's a good point.
I think Ramsey can cover small slot receivers in the slot. I think he can cover DK Metcalf on the outside. Yeah. I think he can cover, a Tyreek Hill. He's done the best job on Tyreek Hill of anybody. I think he can cover a George Kittle. I think he could be the best safety in the NFL if he played free safety. I think he could be the best safety in the NFL if he played strong safety, because he's a great tackler and he really takes good, smart angles to the ball and he attacks the football. He's like if Charles Woodson and Patrick Peterson had a baby. That's who he is. He's an unbelievable football player. And so he's obviously one. I agree with you. I think Darius Williams is very underrated. I think he does a bang-on job on the other side of Jalen Ramsey. I do think the loss of Troy Hill is going to hurt because he stepped up for them last year, and him going to the Browns, he's a good nickel corner. But here's what I think separates them. They have a top 80 pick in David Long, who they thought, I think, was going to take one of those corner jobs last year when Troy Hill and Darius Williams took it, and he just didn't. So I think that they're definitely going to get a good contribution from him. I'm bullish on his prospects for them next year, and I think that they have comfortably the best corner trio in the NFL. And that's just what happens when you have Jalen Ramsey. He really, really makes other people on this defense a lot better than they are.
And real quick, the combination of so does Donald. So you have Ramsey and Donald, 2 guys who are making multiple players' jobs easier. Multiple players look better than they are. Hence why such a thin defense can rank number 1 in the league.
Right.
Definitely.
And a good scheme with Staley.
Yep. Because he takes advantage of the gravity that those players possess. Gravity.
So, Vish, when you were saying Ramsey's number 2, does that mean Akello's number 1 then?
Yeah, dude. Are you taking a shot at Akello?
No, I'm saying
pretty disrespectful.
I'm sorry.
He's not going to appreciate it.
No.
I think Akello's the best corner in the NFL if you remove when he's playing his best football and you remove about at least 8 or 9 names from the list. I mean, if Jalen Ramsey was playing in the arena and Jair Alexander was playing in the CFL and Marlon Humphrey was playing, taking a year off, and you take out about 8 cornerbacks
Kevin
and
King
Akello's playing.
Which performances is Akello Witherspoon like so proud of? Like week 1 against Tampa?
Yeah,
week 2 against Cincinnati? That's it. Nice, man. You did 2 games. Okay.
DK Metcalf.
So 3 games, man. Yeah, man, you proved it. You proved it. You're the best.
He actually had a bang-on game against because I think that was actually the best he actually played him well too. But I think the best cornerback game we've seen in a long time from the 49ers, just a small tangent before we go to our final couple of topics, is that Arizona game. I thought the job Verrett and Akello did, Verrett on Hopkins in particular, and Akello on Christian Kirk it was chills. It was like watching, Terrell Brown and Carlos Rogers was actually a very underrated corner duo, and they did some pretty good jobs in 2011 and 2012. I thought Akello and Verrett kicked butt in that Week 15 game or Week 16 game.